Hello and welcome to another Pie and Smith production. It's New Year's Eve. It's 7:15 on New Year's Eve. Pieman and myself are on the beers. He's drinking better stuff than me because I'm a lightweight. But what else have we got better to do on New Year's Eve? We're both on the verge of divorce, to be honest. We've set on this path of providing darts content every day to the masses. We didn't know how it was going to go. I personally didn't think we'll do a video for every single day of competition. And we have. So we've got work commitments, family commitments, Mrs. commitments have gone out the window, and we're getting it in the net for that. So earlier today, we put out a video going in depth for the 8 quarterfinalists and their journeys to this point, and Pieman provided a few stats. So now we're going to look at the first 2 quarterfinals that will take place on New Year's Day. So about 12:15 on New Year's Day, the action is underway on Sky Sports. There's 2 games in the afternoon and 2 games in the evening. So we're going to split it into 2 videos. So first, the first game to look at on New Year's Day is Krzysztof Ratajski against Bunting. I've got an idea how this goes. I think Pieman's idea on this game differs from mine, which is great. So let's see what Pieman thinks first. I'll hand you straight over to the main man, Matt Pieman Hill.
Cheers, Adam. Thanks for everyone who's watched these videos over the tournament. I know we've still got a few to go, but this does feel like a nice stage now as we get to sort of, New Year's. The end is in sight kind of thing. And what goes on beyond this with the videos remains to be seen. I suppose we've got a few irons in the fire, but if you've enjoyed them, please do just drop us a little comment underneath and just let us know that you've enjoyed them and stuff. And we'll try and keep something going in some way or form, I think. But here we are, quarterfinals. We've got 4 quarterfinals on the menu, and Ratajski and Bunting, the 2 that I said in the earlier video, you would never have called them getting this to this stage. A really strange pairing to be in a World Championship quarterfinal, but there we are. As you kind of hinted at, we do have different views on this one. I've been really impressed with both players for different reasons, but there are a couple of things that I saw in the last round that I didn't like. I didn't like Krzysztof Ratajski's last set against Gabriel Clemens, particularly the doubling. Now, that's not to knock either player, because what they were doing is they were trading blows back and forth for 7 sets in the biggest game of both of their careers. So I could fully accept players having a meltdown in the last leg. E.g. Joe Cullen, we saw it with Dimitri and Chisnall. They had a brilliant match and then both had a bit of a meltdown towards the end of it. It's bound to happen, but I just didn't like the look of Ratajski's double in at the end of the game when he's got to close it out. It seemed to me like the occasion was just getting to the Polish Eagle a little bit. He's a very worthy favourite for this match because he's missed the consistency on the tour. He always turns up. He always gives it beans in the floor tournaments. We haven't really seen him transfer it onto the stage until now. So massive opportunity for him. He fully deserves it. But Bunting, on the other hand, I mean, regardless of where he's come from, 400 to 1 shot coming into this tournament. His form had fell off a cliff. He's had coronavirus. He's had a terrible time of it recently. But I've been really impressed with the way that when his matches have got tough, and I'm talking all of them, Andy Bolton, he was 2-1 down and on the brink of going out. James Wade, he was 2-0 down and on the brink of going out. And once again against who was his last 16, Adam?
Ryan Searle, the main man.
Was indeed Ryan Searle, your man.
2-0 down in the deciding set of 1.
Again, 2-0 down in the deciding set and come back. So what the point I'm trying to make is Bunting has had his back up against the wall a few times. He's unfancied. He's still unfancied. He's the outsider of the tournament still. I think you could get him as big as 40 to 1 to win this thing if you wanted an outside chance. And to be honest, this is quite a tight match in my eyes, so you could easily have a semi-final runner at 40 to 1 if you wanted it. But it's a little bit of a fanciful stretch to say he could win the tournament, but he's still there. He's still fighting. And clutch Bunting, I think, might get him over the line. I'm going 5-4 Bunting. The dream continues.
5-4 to Bunting is 7 to 1. As I said in the earlier video, I think that Bunting's run is going to come to an end here. I think he's played well. Don't get me wrong. He's playing very well by his standard. Possibly the best we've seen him in the PDC. I think he's been in the PDC 6 or so years. But I think his run comes to an end. Like you say, Wade was off colour despite it in the 9 darter. Andy Bolton had his chances and didn't take them. Ryan Searle was 2-0 up in the deciding set and didn't win. So I think Bunting can count himself a little bit lucky. He has earned his luck but I think he can count himself a little bit lucky to be here. And Krzysztof Ratajski's been solid throughout. His averages, were pretty much bang on all the time. He is Mr. Reliable, particularly on the tour. And we've said that many times, but I think that the lack of fans has obviously helped Krzysztof Ratajski here. I think the run comes to an end, and so do the bookies. Ratajski's 1-2 to win, and Bunting's 13-8. I do take your point about Ratajski getting over the line against Clemens the other day. It was painful to watch at times, but I don't think we're going to get to that stage in the Bunting game, to be honest with you. And I think so. I don't think there is going to be a last set or last leg decider. I think Ratajski is going to win 5-2 or 5-3. If I had to go for one, I'm going to go 5-2. It's 9-2. They're actually both the same price. But yeah, 5-2 at 9-2 would be my pick here for Ratajski. And just a note on this quarter. I mean, we put up Ryan Searle. He was a massive price for the quarter, 25-1 for the quarter. He didn't get there. But what my point being is that the players that have not made the quarter final from this quarter include Peter Wright, Gabriel Clemens, Simon Whitlock, James Wade, etc., Ian White, Kim Huybrechts, all of those players have not made the quarterfinal here. So, credit to Bunting and Krzysztof for getting this far. I think the Bunting run comes to an end. It would have done the world of good for his rankings. But yeah, I think Ratajski is going to be a surprise semi-finalist. Yeah,
no, that's fair enough. I think it's good that we have different opinions on it, and I think it is a game where it's got to be who handles the occasion better, to be honest, because, as you say, they've been priced up on their kind of form and ability and the numbers that we have and the evidence that we have for them. And that does kind of point towards Ratajski. But I'm just I've got a little sneaky feeling that Bunting's experience in the BDO final and he's had a lot of big occasions in the past. Okay, we haven't seen him like this for a long time. So it's hard to know if he's still in that mindset. But I've been impressed with him, and I think he could take Ratajski deep in this game. And if it goes deep, I'd rather be with the guy that's won a world championship, albeit BDO, than the guy who is showing nerves at a bit pivotal point of his career.
So you're looking at Bunting 5-4, was it, Pieman?
It was, yeah, 5-4.
Yeah, that's 7-1. So we're going to put a correct score, lucky 15, in the description, so we can see if we can go out in a blaze of glory.
We'll see who gets the more returns. It'll probably be 0 and 0,
yeah,
but I mean...
Yeah, 0-0, yeah, that's what we're going for. So the second game of the afternoon session on New Year's Day is Gary Anderson versus Dirk van Duijvenbode. Yeah, I mean, if you'd have seen this game a year ago at any stage of any competition, to have Gary Anderson at 4-5 to be, a pretty much, 6 months ago, even to me, 6 months ago, Dirk van Duijvenbode, I'd never heard of him. He's made the final of a TV major, is now in the quarterfinals of the World Championships, and he's even money to beat Gary Anderson, a two-time champion at Ali Pali. I mean, that's a story in itself. As I said in our earlier video about the final 8, I think Dirk really impressed me against Glenn Durrant just to get past that test. To come from behind, to grind it out, last leg decider, under pressure, etc., and all the challenges and experience that Glenn brings. And Dirk overcame that, so fair play to him. I do think Dirk's played at a better standard in this tournament compared to Gary Anderson. Although, Gary's last match against Evan Peterson was a 4-0 whitewash. I mean, I think that flattered him a little bit. He was 2-0 down, I think, in 3 sets and won them, or definitely 2 sets and won them. So Devon really did struggle to get a set on the board, and he should have done so. Yeah, I've got a financial interest in Dirk. I'm on him at 48. I've got a fiver on him at 48. So he's the second of my runners remaining for some profit. So I'll be cheering on Dirk. I mean, score-wise, it probably is going to go the distance, isn't it? So 5-4 to Dirk is 11-2 would be my pick, but it wouldn't be a confident one. I'll just be cheering Dirk on from my sofa.
Yeah, very interesting game again, and another one that is very tight in the market. Look, I can't argue with Dirk being put in as a favourite, because if you're going on, if you'd never watched darts prior to this year and you watch this year, you would only really want to be with Dirk on the form. But that's probably quite a fitting introduction as to why I'm going to go with Gary Anderson. I like to be a little bit out there, obviously, and it doesn't always pay off. But no, I mean Gary Anderson. The thing for me is, I just think we're getting to a stage of this tournament now with the extended format, best of 9, best of 7. It doesn't sound a big difference, but it is. It's just that extra little bit of a break and a little bit of time. And these games are like, they're very much, you're having a session where you've only got 2 matches. So that all the focus is on you. These are big games now, really big games. And the occasion definitely comes into it. And Gary Anderson, being there, done that. He's handled it all before. Multiple world champion, multiple event winner. He's won stuff playing well. He's lost stuff playing badly. He's done it all, Gary Anderson. Now, Dirk van Duijvenbode deserves masses of credit for the way he's dealt with different types of opponents. And you said it yourself, very impressive the way he got rid of Glenn Durrant, because Glenn Durrant plays slow, methodical. He's a very solid player. He's a scrapper. So it was always going to be hard. Now, I was impressed, but I would say that me personally, I was actually a little bit disappointed that Dirk made kind of hard work of, I thought, what was a below par Glenn Durrant. I mean, there's no way that was the same Glenn Durrant that we see in the Premier League, winning the Premier League, and we see for the majority of this year. Yes, he took his chances when they came early on, Glenn, but those chances came about because Dirk gave him them in the early sets. Yes, Dirk dug himself out, and that was extremely impressive because he has great self-belief, Van Duijvenbode, but he did give Glenn a lot of chances. Glenn himself, I'm sure, would have been stunned to be 3-1 up because he was not playing well, really. Bar the odd checkout, he was not playing that well. It was a real scruffy battle. And then Dirk's quality increased as the game went on, and that was what won it. The better player won in the end on the day. Gary Anderson will relish a battle. And I tell you, Gary Anderson has got a real ego, and that might just play into his hands here. He will not want to be beaten by someone who is at their first World Championship quarterfinal, new kid on the block. He's got a little bit of the Phil Taylor about him, Gary Anderson, bit of a chip on his shoulder. I've been here, I've done it for a long time. You're not just going to come through and walk through me. And this is the kind of game where I see Gary Anderson getting fired up, and we see a bit of the old Gary Anderson, to be honest. So, yeah, I know Gary's form hasn't been there, but for me, I just think all things considered, with the occasion, with the experience, with the length of game, I think Gary will get rid of him. I did think Glenn Durrant would get rid of him, and he didn't, to be fair, but Glenn didn't play very well. I'm thinking Gary, New Year's Day quarterfinal, will turn up.
What correct score are you going for then, Pieman?
I'm gonna go for a bit of a shock here. I think Anderson's gonna do a job on young Dirk. I think it's gonna be 5-2 Gary Anderson.
5-2. That's 11-2 there. Yeah, I mean, like you say about Anderson, he has got the fire in his belly. He's had a go this week at Mensor, Wayne Mardle, Rod Harrington, Sky Sports, the PDC, the refs.
This is what we like to see from Gary Anderson.
Like he's got it in him. He's got it in him. He's got it in him. He said, I know I'm going off topic, but he said a couple of times he's going to be 2021 is going to be a big year for him. I don't know whether he's deflecting from his and setting his expectations. Can I just get this on the footage
as well? I just want to get it on there. I think Gary Anderson for the World Championships next year, have a serious look. If this man's going to get back to practicing properly, he says Ryan Searles moved in down the road and they're going to be bashing heads 6 hours a day playing darts. Gary Anderson commits to practice. He said himself, I'll be honest, I've barely thrown a dart in practice for months now. And it's shown, to be honest. He's not been at it, has he? If Gary gets back to practicing, I mean, let's say Gary gets knocked out here, I'd be having a look at him for the Worlds next year, straight off the bat, as soon as the market opens.
Big comments there from Pieman to end our quarterfinal afternoon.
What are you going for in this game, Adam, before we finish, scoreline-wise?
I'm on Dirk 5-4, but it certainly wouldn't
5-4.
It certainly wouldn't be confident. But yeah, I'm with Dirk anyway, so I'm going to be sat back, and I know we've set out on this correct score mantra for these two videos. So, I'm just going to be sat there cheering on Dirk, and if I have a couple of pence on 5-4, then so be it. So that wraps up the afternoon quarterfinals, the 2 games in the afternoon, and we'll be providing another video for the 2 evening quarterfinals that feature Van Gerwen and Price as the headline acts, and we've also got the final 8 conclusion, kind of the story so far video as well. So I'll link to that in the description. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys.